for me, the most important thing that's happened this year, which I suspect will change our lives and should forever, is the WikiLeaks.
Ah.
Now, why do I say that? Because it does two things. It will change the way in which diplomacy is exercised around the world. But more importantly, to we average normal citizens, it proves to me again that nothing that we write, nothing that we record is necessarily safe. It's no longer our possession and our property. And I think that's been increasingly the case over the years, that what we say and do, and we've got freedom of information, etc. But WikiLeaks says to me that even at the highest levels of the international world, even affecting Australia, New Zealand, etc., information that was given by people in confidence is now made public, reinforces to me that whatever I do as a citizen also has that risk of being made public.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I'm not sure. I really don't know. I really don't. In order to make things work, you've got to be able to have frank conversations with people. And you need for those conversations, I think, at times to be private. What's the point of being nice and polite, necessarily, or straying from the truth because you're trying to protect what might happen if that information was made public? I think in life, in a family, when talking to your children, to your wife, you've got to be frank. You've got to be able to speak with confidence from time to time, knowing that those confidences will be kept. So it concerns me. It does concern me. But I think to all of it, it's a message. In this new age of communication technology, almost nothing we do. Take the banks. When they can spit out by a computer error the list and names of thousands of people and their addresses, etc., we no longer have the security that I think we used to have when we didn't have the technology we now have.
Jeff, you were talking about having a private conversation. Also, there is a thing called brainstorming. When you're trying to come up with an idea, the people you would have talked to in your cabinet or advisors, you may have said an idea that's quite outrageous, but you're trying to spark some thought, some interest for another person to pick up an idea that may work. Now, if it came out that original idea that you just suggested, you might look quite bad. But brainstorming and coming up with ideas needs to be kept secret, doesn't it?
Well, you just think, ask yourselves, and listeners, I'd ask you, if everything you've said and done, if everything you'd written appeared on the front page of the Herald Sun, how would you feel about that? And yet that is now a possibility.
I'd feel like Shane Warne.
Yeah, that's right. Yes.
No.
And
there's a very good example. I had a wonderful little comment to make then, and then I thought, oops, no, someone's listening. Better I don't say.
That's not like you to
just between us.
Not like you to pull back, Jeff.
Yeah, it's just between us. Well, therefore, do you agree with Julia Gillard and Robert McClelland that Julian Assange should face trial? Should face charges about this?
No, I don't, because I don't think what he has done is criminal. He's come into possession of information and he's made it available. What I'm saying is the fact that that has now happened is going to cause all of us, I suspect, to just think twice about what we say and what we write.
I mean, it's funny, because I know you've had some experiences in the past, dredging through history, where you said things that you thought were private, that were published. I would have thought you would have lived your life like that anyway.
Well, I think you do, but it depends a bit on your personality too, I think. I'm fairly outgoing, and
No.
I'd rather get into mistakes, make mistakes for saying things that I feel than necessarily trying to be some other different person, right? I think it comes
because people will see through you anyway.
Well, it comes back to this concept. You only live a life once, and you've got to live it as you are rather than trying to be someone else. But I think this WikiLeaks is going to have such a profound effect. I mean, we've got all this new technology now, which was meant to make life easier. It doesn't. It was meant to make life more secure. It doesn't. A lot of it can be harmful. Wearing my hat is beyond blue, where you get bullying, Facebook, all the tweets, all of these sorts of things. They're all part of a much more complicated life that adds stress and emotion. I think WikiLeaks will change the way in which diplomacy is exercised, not necessarily for the better, but it will change it, because people will be fearful. There'll be WikiLeaks 2 and WikiLeaks 3, etc., etc.
We're going to talk about this here for a long time. Yeah.
I think this is the most profound thing that's happened in the world. Now, when some people will say, well, what about Afghanistan, etc., etc., yes, they're profound, but they're ongoing, but as a new ingredient into our life.
Well, do you therefore think then, now that we've gone down this path, we should then introduce something like the Australia card, given that our privacy is shot anyway? We might as well have something like the Australia card where all our government information is all in one spot. We've got nothing to hide now anyway.
I've always been a believer in the Australia card. Because personally I have nothing to hide, and you shouldn't have anything to hide. I would rather carry around one card than 30 cards. And why science today can't allow you, if you're a member of a bank, then that can't be fed into that one card. If you use a Qantas
frequent flyer,
that can be logged into it as well. It just seems so stupid when everyone's saying, oh, it's security, it's security, it's security. You've got to carry around a number of cards just to live your daily life. So no, I'm absolutely in favour of the Australia card.